Hey toy fans, I'm D21Beast and welcome back to my figure review series here on my YouTube channel. And today we're once again looking at those heroes in a half shell. That's right, we've got another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle review for you today. This one comes from the Nickelodeon version of the TV show, and we do have the Season 2 Casey Jones figure released in 2013 by Playmates. I have been looking for this figure for a while. I unfortunately slept on him when he first hit the shelves, but I just recently found him. So excited to have him, I can't wait to get this guy out of the packaging. Let's say we go ahead and start by taking a look at the box. As you come down the front of the box, you're going to see that Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles logo, and you will notice that familiar green and purple packaging. There is a blister bubble that houses Casey Jones inside, as well as his accessories. And off to the right, you do have images of the 4 turtles from the TV series. And finally, you have Casey Jones' name at the bottom. Flipping the package around now, you do have that logo again for the Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles towards the top. As you come down, you do have a bio for Casey Jones. Go ahead and pause now to read this. And as you come to the bottom of the packaging, you do see all the figures that are currently available in this wave. Alright guys, well that's the packaging. Let's say we get Casey Jones out of the box and see what this figure is all about. Alright toy fans, here we have Casey Jones out of the box, and overall, I like some stuff about this figure, and then there are some things I wish would have been a little different. Starting with the face here. Casey Jones is painted with some face paint on, which is show accurate, but he has no face paint on, way more on the show than he does actually have the face paint, and I think I would have preferred a flesh tone to his face versus this really garish looking face paint work. I mean, that's not what I think of when I think of Casey Jones with his mask off, so I wish I would have done that a little bit differently. Also, the paintwork on his belt around the torso is just a bit sloppy. It doesn't go all the way around for one, which was a disappointment. It just kind of stops when it gets to the back of the figure. But it's also not very cleanly applied. There's some nicks or some spots that were just missed on the corners here, and I wish that was just a little more clean. But otherwise, when we look at the figure, it's mostly just the molded color of the plastic as far as paintwork is concerned. Now, sculpting wise, he's got some great accessories that are sculpted onto him, like this hockey pad here with the spikes on it. I like the way that the hockey gloves themselves are sculpted. And as you come down, he's got some sculpting work on the hip here with some keys, and he's got some great pad work as we go down, and I really like that he's got roller blades on the bottom of his feet. I think that's a nice touch, and they don't hinder his ability to stand at all, so that's also fantastic. I'm also a fan of this sort of rag hanging out of his back pocket. I mean, that's just kind of a nice little touch there, and it is a separate piece just kind of plugged into the figure, but I haven't really seen anything like that on an action figure before. And then we get to this. Instead of having a a golf club bag for all of his accessories, Casey just kind of has this weird M-shaped clip on his back, and I think it's honestly kind of ugly. I wish it would have done something differently, but you know, it is what it is, and it does hold his accessories. So, speaking of accessories, let's go ahead and get to them. Casey Jones comes with all the accessories that you see here. First and most obvious is his hockey mask. Now, this is the only accessory of his that actually has any paintwork, but it is painted to kind of have that skull look like it did on the show, so that's a nice touch. And it's got some great sculpting as far as some holes that have been poked into the mask, and it just looks like an actual goalie mask that's been spray painted, so I appreciate that. And it's pretty easy. It's got these little prongs on the back. You just go ahead and press it right onto his face, and it holds in pretty nicely. There we go. So now he's got his hockey mask on. And then the next item we have here is a baseball bat. It's not painted at all, which is kind of a bummer because the 2003 Casey Jones actually had a painted bat accessory. But the bat fits easily into his hand, and you can just plug it in like this. Or he could just go ahead and holster the back on his back and that clip. The other accessory he's got here is a hockey stick that, again, is unpainted. And again, on the 2003 version of this figure, the hockey stick was painted. So it's a bit of a disappointment that they didn't paint the accessory on this guy either. But it fits into his hand, or you can just go ahead and slide it into the clip on his back. Just goes in just like this. And there you go. Casey's got one weapon stored and one weapon in his hand, and he's ready to strike. Articulation on this Casey Jones figure is actually pretty good considering he's a support character and not one of the main turtles in the line. As you take a look at him here, we see that he does have a head that will turn left and right. It could go a full 360, but the strings on the hood actually prevent it from spinning all the way around. He does have a shoulder joint that will spin a full 360 degrees and bend out from the body about that far and back down. The articulation is hindered a little bit on the right side, but you can still work the arm around if you try. He has a single jointed elbow that bends down that far and back that far, and it is copied on the other side of the figure here. He does have a wrist rotation that spins a full 360 degrees, and it's got the same rotation on the other side. He does have a full waist rotation that spins a full 360 degrees. He's also got a hinged hip here, so his leg can move forward that far and move back very far. He's also got a hinge that will allow his leg to go out that far, which is nice. And then he's got a single jointed knee that bends back that far and bends forward that far, and there's a 360 degree rotation at the knee. And that completes the articulation for this Casey Jones figure. Before we get to height on this Casey Jones figure, I want to take a moment to go ahead and compare him to his counterpart from the 2003 series. One thing that I really like about the Casey Jones on the right is that he came with a ton of accessories. He's got snap-on pads for his arms and his shin, he's got the golf bags that's separate, he's got the 3 different weapons that go in his golf bag, and his face mask does come off. Also, when you look at the accessories, his accessories are painted. You notice there's painting here on the end of the hockey stick as well as the handle, and we just weren't getting that with the 2013 Casey Jones figure, which is a bit of a disappointment, and I don't know why Playmates chose to kind of go backwards or give us less in this case. But I do really appreciate that the Casey Jones, the more modern one, actually has a lot better articulation. You'll notice the Casey Jones on the right doesn't have elbow joints, he doesn't have knee joints, he's only got a single moving hinge at the hip, so he's really kind of an inferior figure in that respect. Plus he's got a gimmicky action mode that allows his body to snap back anytime you twist him at the waist, which really gets in the way of posing from time to time. The Casey Jones on the left doesn't have that to worry about. Also, the Casey Jones on the right's got some dynamic feet, so he can be a little difficult to stand, whereas the Casey Jones on the left, again, despite the fact that he's got these sculpted rollerblades, I almost never have any trouble setting him down and just having him stand. He's really good at standing, so I do appreciate that. But if I had to pick one of these figures that I think is better than the other, I might actually go with the modern Casey Jones figure. I really, really like the one on the right. I mean, the accessories really win me over. But outside of accessories, this Casey Jones kind of wins me over with sculpting and articulation, and I can pose him a lot better than I can pose this figure on the right. And that is important whenever you're setting up displays or doing reviews like you're doing right now. Taking a look at the height of this Casey Jones figure, we can see that he stands at right around 5 inches tall. For some size comparison, here's 2013 Casey Jones standing again next to his 2003 counterpart. And here he is standing next to his BFF, Raphael, from the Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series, and the 2014 movie Raphael, and the 2003 Raphael figure. And finally, here's Casey Jones standing next to the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Infinite series Wolverine. Alright, toy fans, well that's my review of the 2013 Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Casey Jones figure released by Playmates. And overall, I do like this figure. I don't get why he doesn't have a golf club bag, and I do wish the painting was a little bit better and less lazy, especially because there's no painting carried over to the back of the figure. But he's got some great sculpting, some great articulation, he does look good posed next to the rest of your turtles, and he is an essential supporting cast member for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so if you're a fan of the series, you're going to want to pick this figure up. Yes, you could probably miss him if you're only collecting the Turtles, but I do think he's worth adding to your collection, so definitely be on the lookout for him. Alright, toy fans, well that's my review. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you saw here, please feel free to rate, share, and subscribe. Also be sure to hit me up on Twitter at D21Beast. Thanks for watching, and Goongala!